So I guess I should introduce you now. I'm supposed to know how to do this, but I got all mixed up. Dr. Upadhyay is, I'm his biggest fan because I've filmed him in South America, in Africa multiple times, in India multiple times, in Russia. And he doesn't draw a breath except for Swami. And I'm very serious about that. His whole life is around Swami, and there are 10,000 people in the world that are not blind because of him, if you can imagine that. He worked for Mother Teresa for many years before he met Swami. He's got some wonderful miracle stories, and I don't want to take up any more of his time because you are really in for a real treat with Dr. Upadhyay. And Doctor, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gene, for a very kind introduction. I'm extremely grateful to our beloved Lord Sri Sathya Sai Baba and to Gene, who has arranged this Zoom meeting in this very difficult time the whole world is going through. So first of all, I'd like to offer my humble salutation to you all because Swami lives in your heart as well. And a salutation to all those wonderful people in the healthcare and essential services and provision stores who are working tirelessly to make sure that they save life. They are doing a tremendous sacrifice. And I would like to just mention that I'm so fortunate to work with Gene. We have got the epic like Ramayana and Ramacharita Mahabharata and all those things we read. And then nowadays, everything has gone on to the films. You can watch the films, these big epics. And what Gene has done, actually, he's a very fortunate man that he has traveled tremendously, so many places in the world, actually to see the Sai action on the ground. If I can describe that, our organization is so huge and there's so much work is going on. What we see is just like the tip of the iceberg. Like somebody comes and talks to you about their experience, their stories and other things like that. But there is so much underneath unless somebody dive deep to find out the jewels which is there, the work, an ordinary person. And one of the things which touched my heart, he said, I do the medical camps all over, but that's fine. But something very, very simple really helps the people. And he shared this story with me in Visakhapatnam, how the young Swamis volunteers, they will go onto the street and find these homeless people with bucket of water, wash them, give them a clean shave and haircut, and then provide them food. Can you imagine? This is what we call Narayana Seva. The people on the street, it is fine to organize everything and go and give the service. He has actually filmed, I God only know how many hours of the documentary, maybe thousands of hours. And one day we'll be very lucky to see all those documented things, what is going on each and every corner of the world. And that will be a great compendium and go through and dive deep to see the magnanimity of the Swami's work. First of all, I like to say that when I was going through the list of the people who has spoken in your center, I was a bit nervous because I'm not a speaker of any accord. I consider myself that I'm a commentator. Actually, I just go and watch the Sai games, we call Sai Leela, and I pick up some of the stories to share with you. But before I go to any of the stories, I'd like to share one of the story, and I'll take you back actually to the Dwapar Yuga, the big Leela going on. And that particular story resembles the time which we are going through very much at the moment, what we are going through. And that is what the compassion and love of the Lord is doing for most of us in order to go through with this crisis. Many of us, we are alone, but still connected. We may be keeping the physical distance, but thanks to this wonderful system, Zooming and other things, we are all connected through our hearts and doing this wonderful satsang. And this story takes us back just the day before the Mahabharata. And just zoom back into the time in the Dwapar Yuga. It is roughly in the afternoon time. And Arjun asked Lord Krishna, "Oh dear Lord, can you take me in the middle of the battlefield? I just wanted to see the scenario. Tomorrow it is going to start. I want to see what is going to happen there so I can position myself in the best possible place." Lord, who has come to serve the people, he becomes his driver. We call him charioteer or Sanatana Sarthi, obeys his master, his disciple. God is always there for his bhakta and devotees. Probably we think that we are serving the God, but if you see that picture actually, which I requested Jean to put there, the Lord has come from the heaven to serve the people on the earth. Can you imagine? Can't we ascend to that level? At least we can serve our own people. That is truly serving the people. So Narayana himself is serving that Narayana. You must have seen that beautiful picture. The Swami is serving a poor old man in Prashanthi. And that's why he wants us to do. He wants make our life his message so we can do the same work. And this is the touching story. So Lord Krishna takes the Arjun, and the Arjun is imagining that tomorrow in the morning there will be the army of the Kauravas, and on one side Pandava's army, and the battle will start, and how he's going to manage and everything. At that time, actually, as the sun is about to set, a little sparrow flies to the chariot of Lord Krishna. And Lord can understand the language of everyone, including us, because he is omniscience. We don't even have to speak. God can just understand. Many of you had this wonderful experience when you had Swami's darshan, Sambhashan, and Sambarshan, that before you speak, Swami knows what you are going to say, and Swami resolve the problem. So this sparrow is just chirping there. And Arjun also could understand because the grace of the Lord, because he was at him. And the sparrow was pleading, "Oh dear Lord, you can see that a lot of the army of the elephants are trampling down the tree to pave the way for the chariots for tomorrow's war. Now there are only few trees left. Most of the birds has flown away, seeing that disaster coming. I have just hatched, my eggs have just hatched, and those little chicks are unable to fly. And I can see that in no time, these elephants will march to the tree where my nest is, and all the eggs will be crushed. Please save me." And Krishna apparently looks as if he's not giving any heed what the little bird was trying to tell. He was just looking at Arjuna. And Arjuna was thinking, why the God is not listening? And the bird keeps saying this. Then Krishna turned and he said, "I am just the witness. You are thinking about just some few little chicks of yours. Think about tomorrow's great war is starting. The millions will die in this great war. Elephants, horses, camels, humans, there will be a great loss and destruction. It's unimaginable. And you are thinking about your chick." So that little chicks tell Lord Krishna, "Oh Lord, you look after everyone. I'm not worried about the great war coming tomorrow. My war at the moment is to save my little family. You have given those chicks to me, and you have made me mother. So this is my responsibility. And if I can carry my responsibility to save those children, rest, I am not worried about it, because I'm not capable of seeing what is coming tomorrow. But I request you, please save." Krishna just asked, "What have you done so far?" He said, "I have built a small nest, not knowing that this was coming. And whatever little I can procure for my little chicks, I do not know how long the war will last, but that is what I have got little." Krishna didn't say anything, and they looked at the little sparrow, and little sparrow circles Lord Krishna 3 times, and she said, "Oh dear Lord, I have got full faith in you. With full patience, I surrender myself to you." And he flies back to the tree. And the moment the little bird reaches to the tree, these elephants are marching. They are little distance. And Lord Krishna asked Arjuna, "Hand over me your Gandiva," that bow and arrow. Arjuna said, "Why do you want this, "Oh Lord, I am your servant. Tell me, I am the greatest archer in the world. I am the greatest archer." That I element, the ego comes. And Krishna says, "No, please give me your bow and archer." So he gives. And Krishna just takes the bow. Nobody has seen Krishna. You have seen Lord Krishna with flute. You have seen Lord Krishna with the Sudarshan Chakra. But this was the amazing scene that Lord Krishna, like Rama, is holding the bow and arrow. And that he aims at a marching elephant. And just the arrow, he shoots the arrow and arrow goes. And Arjun thought Lord Krishna has missed the target. Can you imagine? This is what most of us, we think the God has not understood. We do not know the intention of the Lord brought his coming for the future. And this arrow goes and hits the rope around the elephant. There is a huge bell is hanging. The big bell is hanging normally into the elephant, the warrior elephants, and the bell falls. And at the same time, he stuck the tree, and the tree also. So before his bell falls, the tree and the nest falls. That's the end of this scene there. Then Krishna brings Arjuna, and they get into the council how to arrange the fight. Next day, war starts, and you all know the Mahabharata went for 18 days, and the huge destructions. And the last day of the war, there are many people lying on the battleground. Some are wounded. Many of the people who are, they are collecting them and taking them home. Wounded, and some of the people searching the dead bodies to take their near and dear ones for the last rite. And the Krishna asked Arjuna, "Go and find out that bell." And Arjuna was thinking he missed his target, did not kill the elephant, and now he wants to look for the bell. That's what we think, that God missed the target. So he said, he could not argue with Lord Krishna. So Arjuna went in the battlefield, and Lord Krishna knew exactly where the bell was, but he wanted to give this chance to Arjuna. And Arjuna goes there and finds the bell, and with great joy, he shouts, "Oh Lord Krishna, I found the bell." And Krishna slowly walks near to the bell, and he asks Arjun to lift the bell. Arjun lifts the bell, and that little sparrow with his 5 cheeks flies into the sky. And the mother arrow comes and encircles. "Oh dear Lord, I was in darkness under the bell. I was in the isolation, but I was chanting your name because I knew you will protect me. I had the patience to wait till this crisis is over. You will definitely come and save me." The little sparrow could not lift the bell, that problem that was, but Arjun did it, and the sparrow just flies and encircles again and flies away. The whole thing is about that sometimes we do not understand. Swami or our Lord may not openly say to you, "I will protect you." But if you have got 2 things, patience and faith, he will be there to guide and guard you. I had many such examples during my little journey of service. And Swami has provided lots and lots of wonderful events. And as a doctor, sometime when you are working, sometime you come to the situation where you find that you are stuck and to where to look for. And our beloved Lord, he may be sitting in Prashanthi Nilayam, thousands and thousands of miles. But if you sincerely call for him, he will just come and help you wherever you are. There is one of the stories my dear Jean has asked me to just share with you. And this is in Africa, in Zambia. Our beloved, our wonderful friend, probably you all know him, Victor Kanu. He arranged this medical camp for us, and we took a team from United Kingdom. Many of the people have joined from other part of the world as well. It was an international medical camp, and it was a big camp. We are giving an disused Second World War airfield. We have erected the marquees and set up the medical camps, and people were coming for the long distances. And it was a wonderful camp. The surgery was also involved in the camp. So we were doing some minor operations in the beginning, and then later on, we were told that there are a lot of patients because the main hospital surgeons and other departments were closed. So they were in dire need of some important emergency surgeries, including the eye surgery, obstetrics, and gynecology. So we thought that's fine. We will go and have a look at the hospital. That hospital was not in use for some time. And we went to the operation theater and we looked at the operation theater also. The operation theater was not in use, but thanks to our building brigade, wonderful, the Sai volunteers. They are really such wonderful people, jack of all trades. I would say they're master of all trades. They can do anything. A doctor can turn into the plumber, and plumber can turn into the carpenter, carpenter into an electrician. You never know what they will do. So they cleaned the operation theater and they made sure that there was running water and all those things. Then we're looking for, there was no oxygen cylinder for the operations. Then we said everything is fine, but there's no oxygen cylinder, what to do? Meanwhile, the caretaker, who was caretaker, he said, I don't know, but in the basement of the hospital, there were some pipes are lying there. We went there and God is a great provider. We found some of the oxygen cylinders. They're enough for the surgery for about a few days. So our volunteers brought them to the operation theater. Now we had a problem. Most of the operations were done under the local anesthetic, but some very small children and some of the operation has to be done under the general anesthetic. I had a problem because I did not have the anesthetic. So what we did actually with the help of Victor Kanu, we just sent a message to the local radio station and announced if there is any retired anesthetists or anybody is there, we are happy to pay them and if they can come and help us for the operations. We did not get any response next day, and following day, we're supposed to start the operation. So what happens actually, in my experience, when everything fails, you send a telepathic message to our beloved Lord. Like in the beginning, there was something was not working. So we started doing Sai Gayatri and everything came into place. So I sent this telepathic message to Swami, and you won't believe that by roughly about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, one doctor has come from the Copper Belt. Zambia, the place is near Ndola, which is near the Congo border, actually. It's a beautiful place, and we have got a miracle school of Sathya Sai Baba. And the story you must read about is fantastic place, what Victor Kanu and Sister Genevieve has created, that they have really transformed these people into a great messenger of love, service, and they have become the real role model actually in whole of the Africa, not only in Zambia. So about 10 o'clock, a gentleman walks into where we were seeing the patient, and he introduced himself that I'm one of the doctor, and I heard on the radio, and I'm so surprised that you people have from United Kingdom, from America and India and all over the places to do the surgery free of charge for the poor people. I'm an anesthetic. I will offer my services. I was so happy. Thank you, Swami. Then we took him to the hospital in the afternoon. We were supposed to start the surgery. Then, because there were some hiccups with the lighting and other things like that, by the time we could start the first operation, it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. First operation went very well. Second operation was a little child. And we started the operation, and suddenly there was some gunshot in the distance. It was almost 2/3 the operation over. And this anesthetist suddenly got up and he said, I have to go. Because the moment it is dark, they start shooting, but there was some problem actually. I don't know whether it is rebels or whatever it was. So he said, I have to go. So I said, sir, just wait for a few minutes. Let me finish this operation. I thought you are giving you a full time and you will be here till evening and you'll come tomorrow also. He said, no. My life is very important. My family is there and I must go. I said, just wait for a few minutes. Let me finish the operation. You won't believe the way I pleaded with him as if I pleaded to the God, but he did not listen. He just left. You won't believe I literally started trembling and sweating. And the one of the Sai sister who was helping me in the operation, she was a nurse. She saw that my forehead was covered with the sweat. Before the sweat falls onto the patient, she started dabbing with, she asked one of the assistants to dab. And he said, "Doctor, you always tell us why fear when he is here. Hold on to yourself. Be strong. Complete the operation. Don't worry about the recovery." I could complete the operation. I was worried how to bring the child back from the anesthetic. If you do 100 good things, it doesn't matter. If something goes wrong, the media will really catch. And I was not worried about my name. I was worried about Swami's name. Swami, if something happened to this child, can you imagine what will happen? I had started praying so intensely to the Swami. I put the last stitch. And as I was just doing the last stitch, two plastic doors of the operation theater flung open, and the gentleman standing in the door with a jean and a shirt and typical African curly hair, and with his folded head like this, he asked, "What is happening there?" I was so annoyed at that time with his question. I said, "Do you think we are playing football here?" He said, No. I am the anesthetist here. I've never seen the light in the operation theater for such a long time. I was passing by and I looked at the light and I just was very curious and came up to see what's going on there. And I said, "You are anesthetist?" I said, "I think you are God. Please come and help us." So he went into his scrub room, just quickly scrubbed himself and got into the gown, and then he came help. And there was no problem. The child was recovered with Swami's grace. He was okay. Then he said, "How many more operations today?" So I said, "A few more this side." And then there was a lady doctor operating on the other side. She may require your help. So I said, "Sir, I'm really extremely grateful to you that you have come." He said, Don't worry. You are looking for the anesthetist and the God has sent, that's fine. What time you are starting tomorrow?" We gave him the time. So he came for 3 days continuously. And as a fool, I forgot that where he is. I thought he was a local man. All this time, I was just thinking completion of the work. Third day, I told Victor Kanu, when the minister was coming actually to, give a big, normally it happens, you get a big thanks from the things. And Victor Kanu had a particular agenda at that time. When the minister comes there, we must talk to him to give him some more land, because at that time there was only boys' school in the hostel, and there was a great pressure on him to start a girls' hostel in the school as well. So I asked this anesthetist. He said, "What anesthetist? You remember we have given the radio advertisement, we have given advertisement into the local paper. There are no local anesthetic here." I said, "No, this gentleman has come for 3 days." And then, my nurse and other people said, "Yes, Victor Kanu, that we have seen this." Victor Kanu said, "Okay, there's no problem." So he sent somebody to the hospital, and you won't believe what they found out. The hospital administrator and the hospital administrator said, "The main reason we shut down this thing because we did not have the services of the anesthetist. So everything has moved out from here to the other cities and towns there. So there is no anesthetist." At that time, I realized that Swami has sent somebody from nowhere in order to save us. So naturally, we were so grateful. After a few months, I had a chance to go to Puttaparthi. And I was very lucky that Swami came very close to me. So said, "How was the camp?" I said, "Swami, with your grace, everything went very well." Swami says, "Santosham, Santosham." And then Swami turned, "So you were playing football in Zambia." Can you imagine that Swami saying, "Were you playing football?" This is the word which I used when the door flung open and this anesthetic was. So you never know in what form the God will appear to you, but do we have that eyes, the vision to realize the person standing in front of you, maybe the Lord himself? That's why whenever I start the work, that my humble salutation to the Lord and salutation to you, because he lives in your heart, because he told me this specifically. There's no point saluting me if you do not salute to the one who you are serving, because I am in them as well. So that is something so wonderful. And whenever you are doing this one, there is a bigger, you know, message, and Swami has got something different to, you know, to the story. We probably do not realize the outcome of any of the scene or the game or his leelas are there. There is another story which I'm reminded of, the Zambia again, just I would like to share. It's a very touching story, and which also has great importance. And many of the organizations in the world, they are serving all over the place. I salute them, but nobody has got the full package as Swami has asked us to do, like educare, Medicare, and social care. This combined together. All the things has to be together to make a perfect medical camp. Russia is the biggest example. I will share some of the stories of Russia. Jean was with us in Stavropol after the great floods of Stavropol, and he has gone through those moments there, how the people have, you know, made the entire city from scratch into a new church, new schools, and new orphanage, so beautifully. And it's all done by the Sai devotee without asking the people to give them the money. This is just coming from their heart and their labor. And Swami provides everything. So this is the story actually, that we were in about third or fourth day of the medical camp. And there was a little girl who came from miles and miles away. They came to know the doctors have come from foreign countries and they are giving the free treatment. This girl traveled almost about 50 or 60 kilometers. There were no buses, no transport. Somehow she managed to get some sort of transport in between. And she came, when she came to the clinic first time, she didn't ask for the doctor. She simply asked, could I have some water to drink? She was so thirsty, very hot there. Our volunteers, so lovely. They provided her not only the water, gave her some biscuits and tea and other things like that. And the person who brought also was one of the Victor Kanu's, students. And Victor Kanu's students were our interpreters. And I tell you, the amount of work they have done, sometimes it put me to the shame. We think we are doing a lot of work. These boys will get up 4 o'clock in the morning. They will prepare for breakfast. Then they will clean everything and prepare the classrooms where we are sleeping in the night, back to the classroom, put their desk and everything. And then they will come to the camp to help us. And many of them were interpreters. And next day when we go there, our clothes are very nice and clean, ironed and everything. And we thought we are using the local washerman from the village, but it was not. These boys will wash every single day. And how I found out, they never came and told me that they were doing all these things. I saw some of the boys, one day I was going to the room because I forgot some instruments, and I saw these boys on the nearby well were washing our clothes and hanging. I asked, I thought you told us that you have got a washerman. He said, we are the washermen, sir. I said, no, that is not on. You are students, you are working so hard. He said, you have come to serve our country for such a long distance. Can't we offer our little services for you so you can look clean? Can you imagine? It touched my heart. That is what exactly that, the Sai teaching is. And these students were so wonderful. So this little girl came to my outpatient department, and she has lost one eye with a condition called retrobulbar neuritis. It is inflammation of the eye where the nerve is damaged. And other eye also had a similar condition, but there was some vision left. And the simple treatment actually that you give a injection, steroid injection at the back of the eye, and then also give some oral treatment to the patient. And because it was only eye, she came for a long distance. We decided to keep her at the hospital. Every single day she will come in the morning, we'll repeat the treatment. She stayed there. She had the wonderful company of our Sai sisters who looked after her well. And when the last day of the medical camp came, I called this girl. We discharged all other operated patients, and this girl came. And I told my interpreter, give her the tablets and told my interpreter that ask this girl to take these tablets 3 times a day with food. The moment I said this, that girl started crying. So I asked the interpreter why she's crying. So that he asked, why are you crying? So she showed something in the local language. And listening to the girl, my interpreter started crying. With a great difficulty, with choking voice, he said, sir, she's saying that you are giving the free medicine and asking her to take the medicine after food 3 times a day. What food? When she goes back into the village, every single day she has to come and stand on the crossroad of the village under a tree. And if some contractor comes and pick them up to take and work into the field, they will get some maize. If they get some work, then only they will get some food. Otherwise, there is no food. How she's going to take this medicine? We open the door in our breakfast room. There is a Cheerios, Rice Crisps, Vita bags, biscuits, and we have got so many choices. We don't know what to take. And there are people up there. And that's why Swami sent you, that you have to prepare to make sure. And that was in order. You won't believe, there was a gentleman who made the arrangement for this girl to come all the way there. This man was a person who was looking after a local small factory there. He came forward and he says, don't worry, doctor, I'll take care of this girl. After seeing the love and care your organization has provided, it has changed my heart completely. She'll be like my daughter. She came as that to our clinic as there is nobody for her. She was almost that she has got nobody in the world. And now she has got a great relationship. This little boy who was my interpreter offered his hand that you are my sister, you are my Sai sister. This man said, you are my daughter. This man not only looked after, when he went back, he gave the job to his mother and father to the factory so they can live happily thereafter. This little eye treatment has become just a little sort of a incident for which she has to come to the medical camp. But Swami wanted her to have a bigger relationship with our organization, which is so wonderful in providing the quality care and sustainability. You all remember that Haiti, Guyana, Tacloban, Philippines, after tsunami, any disaster in the world, people go and work for a few weeks and then they come back. But our organization has this continuous quality, sustainable service, not for weeks, not for months, for years. And they don't go there only for a few days. They stay for months and months. They have to make sure that till everything is settled down, then they move on to another place. That is the great thing. And nobody knows about it. There's no publicity. I'll give you one simple example. Just to finish the story of this little girl. This boy who was, with a great difficulty, I consoled him. Don't worry, she will be all right. He said, no, sir, I was just thinking about the plight of my people in my country. And I don't know how Swami will help me. Few years later, I had another medical camp in Zambia. I went to that medical camp, and just before medical camp, we normally have a small meeting with Victor Kanu and other volunteers to arrange the crowd control, registration, the departments, how the surgeries will be done, and all sorts of things have to be taken care just prior to the medical camps. That's called pre-medical camp arrangement. And as we are talking, a young, tall man walks in with a stethoscope hanging onto, his white coat. And Victor Kanu said, oh, everything is okay. And then suddenly he turns to me, Victor Kanu, said, do you recognize this young man? I says, no, Victor, because he's a grown-up young man in his now 20s. So Victor said, he is Joseph, the same boy who was your interpreter. He has decided to become the doctor to serve our community. Looking his, commitment on that day, that this man was so much disturbed with the plight of his own people. He worked so hard in that such a remote part to become a doctor. And what touched me the most, because when we were leaving, one of our colleagues who has got a wonderful, in the University College, he offered this man if he wants to come to England for further studies. He said, "No, sir, I don't want to leave my country. Whatever I have learned, I want to offer to my country. This is, I have learned from Swami," he said. "This is what I have learned from Swami. Love your motherland, serve your motherland. And I have got this opportunity and I want to do this." So this is what exactly the transformation. You never know when you are working there, what Swami has got in, you never know what Swami's Leela, what the game is there. This is such a fantastic things actually which happens in medical camp. And this takes me to another wonderful story of the transformation. I'm sure many of you probably were in that medical camp. Jean was there. It is in British Guyana. And it was the request of the government. And just before the medical camp started, the president himself and I invited all the team. Normally the president comes and, they will do the opening ceremony, but this was the other way around. He invited us to the presidential palace. And then we had a good understanding what exactly he was looking forward from the Sai Organization. The camp was going very well. His wife was also a social worker and very actively participating into arranging all the things. She was looking after the, the children's health especially. So one day the medical camp was going on, and an old man, one old man came with a little girl. It was not very old, but looking old because of the poverty. Probably he must be in his late 40s. And he came to the clinic with a little girl. And the little girl was just looking down. She was not looking up at all. So I thought there may be some problem with her posture. That's why they brought it. But to my utter surprise, I was told by one of the volunteers, you all know the brother Bob from New York. He was, somehow he managed to bring this family. So I asked the father what is wrong, and with the help of the interpreter, he told that when she was very young, she had a trauma injury to the eye, and the eyeball has gone completely. And as there was no treatment available at that time, the eye started shrinking and the eyelid was turning in, and she looked quite unpresentable, so to say. And this happens when you go to the school, people will make mockery and laugh and all those things. So this girl stopped going to the school. And this man, Muslim gentleman, he saw this little advertisement. There is a medical camp, free eye camp, free pediatric camp, free obstetric and gynecology. Everything was free going from the Sai Organization. Somebody approached him, "Why you don't take your daughter to the doctors who have come from USA and England?" This man said, I've tried this before. There were camps by other organizations. They said something could be done, but they did not have with them. And that's why I've lost the faith. And I came today to pray, but I didn't feel like going inside the mosque to pray, because I don't think that God listened to the poor people like us. That was his word. And at that time, this gentleman who was trying to tell the people that he should go and seek the help, he somehow convinced him that please do come and see. You never know what will happen. And he brought this girl, and with a great difficulty, I could convince this little child that to just raise the chin and I could examine. And I knew that was not difficult to fix the problem, because it was difficult to give the sight back, but we can give her a prosthesis in order to make her look almost normal. So nobody will realize that she has got a prosthesis, not like an artificial eye, but not able to see, but at least it will be presentable for her. And she will not go through this sort of, dance and humiliation in this school, and she can continue to get her education. That was in my mind. But when I examined, I suddenly realized I do not have that prosthesis. Whenever I go to other camps, normally I have the box of the prosthesis with me. And very rarely out of 200 or 300 prostheses, one will match to the person because it has to the same site, same size, same color of the eyes. There's a lot of combination, the size and whether it is right side or left side and the color. So many things have to be done. And it has to fit properly so that child or anybody who receives it should be comfortable. And you probably are ophthalmologist, you will know that is a simple process, but selection is very, very important. So I said to this man, sir, we can do something for your child, but unfortunately, I do not have that prosthesis with me, but I can take a picture and I promise you I will send it and one of the local ophthalmologists can fix it. This man literally about to drag the child out. He said, I have heard this story time and again, time and again. I know my prayers are not answered by the Lord. That was it. And you could see the frustration and anger and sadness on his face. And that time I prayed, Swami, why you have brought this gentleman here? Are you testing me? I always had, and this is the first time I do not have. I really was going through so much regret in my mind. Why did I not have that whole set of the prosthesis? But he refused that he will not allow me to take the photograph because he thought there's no point taking the photograph. But somehow one of the volunteers convinced that let him take the photograph. Every morning, actually, I pack my bag for my instruments and make sure that batteries are charged and everything like that, and bring the bag to the clinic. And normally the camera is on the top. So I just open the bag, my little bag, to take the camera out. The moment I took the camera out, a small little box, about 2 by 3 inches, fell onto the floor. I did not recognize the box because I was surprised. How did it come into my little bag? I just wanted the camera. I was curious. I lifted the box. You won't believe there was only one prosthesis. It was the same site, same size, and same color. It is 1 in a million chance to have that sort of match in such a remote part of the world, away from United Kingdom or New York, wherever you order to make this prosthesis. I told this man, God listens to your prayer. Give me 15 minutes. We took him to just a little minor room, cleaned the sockets and everything like that, and fitted that prosthesis and shown the little mirror to the girl. First time, there was a big smile on the face of this little girl. Then I asked this little girl to come out with me and ask her to look at the father. And the moment she looked at the father, you won't believe the joy on the face of the father. But what he did was something extraordinary. He fell onto his knees, raised his hand. He was Muslim. He said, "Oh, dear Lord, I have not seen you, but I have seen your messengers here who have done this to my daughter." Can you imagine that there are so many operations, so many patients we have seen, but Swami has sent us for one transformation for this man who was losing faith in God, in his own God. And he said, the first thing I'm going to do, I'll take my daughter and I'll go to mosque and do my namaz. I'll pray to Allah. I know that Allah exists and he listens. Maybe time was not right. Now today, I've got my faith back. And he was so joyful. And then we had a problem that we had to teach this girl how to look after the prosthesis and tell the father how to clean it and put everything. So I asked that if you can come tomorrow again, so we can teach till we are here. We'll do this every single day. He said, I live far away. It's very difficult for me. And we also realized to get him to the camp every day and take him back to the village, it will be 4 trips for him. From I don't know, just out of my own things, I said, okay, I'll come to your village, because this girl wanted me to visit her village. That was her only wish. She was holding my hand all this time after looking her face into the mirror. In her old language, she asked the interpreter to ask me that, ask uncle to come to my village. And out of my ignorance, I said yes. I did not know what trouble I was getting in. All the organizers got very angry with me. He said, you know, you said yes to him. This village is so far away. If you go there, you wouldn't be able to come till the middle of the day, and there are so many patients here. I said, I don't know. But once we have promised, it is Swami's name, we must go. So their Bob was very happy. He asked me that I should get ready very early in the morning so that we can go very early into the morning and see this girl and tell what to do. And then probably next day they will arrange something for her. And as it always happens, Swami tests you. We started, there were those days, there are no, nowadays you have got the navigation system, you put in the car, and even if you're sleeping, your car will take you to a destination. Somehow asking where this village was, we reached to the village. We were late by about half an hour because we were asking, the roads were not clear. We have to leave the car a little bit further away because there was no proper road, and we have to walk to the village. And as we were walking to the village, this girl was standing with her father, looking that when we are coming, that was her faith that we will definitely come. And when we reached there, we went to the little hut. In the little hut, they have got a very small little place there, some fruits here. And she brought a few mangoes for us. We all know the Guyana is famous for the mangoes. Everybody eats mango at the breakfast, in the lunch, and the dinner. Everything is mango. And they are very sweet. There are so much diabetes because they're so sweet. So this girl, probably, that was the greatest moment I had during that camp. The moment she saw me, she just ran and hugged me as if I was her distant relation has come after a long time. That love and that feeling, the touch was so much that I was really overwhelmed. It was not a big thing to put a prosthesis in a small child's eye. But when you pray hard, the Swami will provide you whatever you need. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. But you have to have that intensity in your prayer and a pure motive, because Swami wants that something will happen after your action that is called transformation. So this is something which we have realized in these medical camps, that how Swami does. And I like to share one more a small moment, that when I say that you must see Swami in everyone. There was a patient of mine, actually, he lost his one eye, and he's a Sai devotee. And I was looking after his other eye because he was very worried that he had only eye, and if he loses that eye, he's got nobody to take care of him, because he was looking after his wife who was suffering from dementia. So once he decided to go to Puttaparthi, he went to Puttaparthi, and he's quite an old man. That time he was in his 70s. And in the morning, you go for darshan, and then you put your cushion, and then you go back to canteen and get your coffee and breakfast, and then come back because you've got your place reserved, and you sit down. This man had his breakfast and coffee and slowly walking, because he's got walking difficulty as well. And as he's walking, probably you remember, just opposite the South Indian canteen, as you go toward the Purnachandra Hall, in the corner, where the old accommodation building on the corner, there is a tree. Sometime there's an old gentleman, he sits there for the Indian edition of Sanatana Sarthi. Just under the tree, there was an old man sitting. And as this man he was asking many people that he wanted a cup of coffee. Nobody stopped because Swami was, was about to come for the darshan. So everybody was rushing for the darshan. And as this man approached him, as he was walking so slowly because of his knee problem, this man has little time to ask, sir, can you get me a cup of coffee? This man said, no, I will be late for darshan. And I'll give you my token. Why you don't take this token? And you go to the canteen. And he showed his legs that, the gene has taken the photograph so many times of those people who suffer from the fluorescein because of fluoride poisoning. They have got, absolutely, crippled legs. After seeing this old man said, I'm thinking about my trouble that I can't walk. Here is a man who can't even stand. So he decided, I will have darshan probably in the afternoon. So even if I'm late, so what? He turned back, got a cup of coffee, and gave it to this gentleman, and then slowly walked. By the time, where he has put his cushion, so many people have gone inside. He realized he won't be able to reach to his cushion. So he went and stood in front of those metal gates, the big metal gates, where VIP gates, we call it. He thought probably he will have a darshan. Swami was already giving darshan. He was just finishing the darshan from the lady's side. You won't believe, brother and sister. Swami walked straight to this man and said, it was a beautiful coffee. Na jaane kis bhes mein Baba mil jaye Bhagavan. You never know in what form God will come to test you. Everybody was rushing for darshan of the Swami. And there it is. So, brother and sister, this is such a wonderful thing actually there. It is said in our scriptures, Hari Katha Ananta, that the stories of Lord is like an ocean, and these are few drops I share with you because of time. And there's so many wonderful stories of Swami. And this is also such a wonderful thing that to know that wherever I go, people may not know about other religions. I don't want to name some of the bushes in the Africa and the Siberia and other places, but they all know about that Swami. And the love of the people, especially in the Russia, it's such a, I have not seen gopis and gopalas. That what is the love of the gopikas for Krishna was, I have not seen that. But when I went to Russia, I realized what the really love is. Russia in Sanskrit means the one who is madly in love with God. And that I've seen with my own eyes. There's so much wonderful story, but I would like to say what their love is like. When you finish the medical camp in Russia, it is a very painful moment when you leave there, because all these volunteers will stand, and they are not 10, 20, 50. Normally, 150 to 200 people come for the medical camp. They travel thousands and thousands of miles. There is no, hotels or accommodation, proper bathrooms. But for 150 people, probably there is one bathroom, and there is no shower room. Sometimes they put a tank on the tree and make an improvised shower for themselves, and just put little bit, partition so that there is a little bit privacy when they are taking the bath. That sort of. Jean has seen those conditions actually, and I remember it's not a very funny one actually, that they will dig 3 holes in styrofoam for us to go for our nature's cold there, and that you have to sit squat onto that one, and at the same time you fight with the flies. It is a very difficult job, and Jean has done that. You can ask him his experience. This sort of things, the training, you see how the people come to work, and they come thousands of miles. Why? Just for the love of the God.
Tell us, Doc, about the experience you had with the Vedas in the middle of Siberia.
Yeah, I just come to that actually, but just I'm trying to tell you this wonderful thing. So this is why they come. So after one of the medical camps, it was raining, very, very cold. And these people have got this habit actually that sometimes they will not go inside, and sometimes they start running with the bus. And it was raining, and I told them that it is very cold, you will be wet, go inside. They started running behind the bus, and I stopped the bus and I came out. I told you to go back. So 2 of them came and he said, Doctor, your eyes have seen the Lord. We have not seen the Lord. We are looking at the eyes who have seen the Lord. Can you imagine? This is what exactly the Swami means. You see God in everyone. They consider us that we are so fortunate that we have seen the God, and they want to be with us because we have seen the God. That is what their love is. And Jean has reminded me of this wonderful story. Actually, it is quite interesting, actually, and funny as well. This is, I was in Prashanthi Nilayam, and that time, the two twin sisters, many of you know, actually, that Sister Galia and Sister Sophia. These two sisters have done a tremendous work of translating Swami's wonderful books into Russian. And those days, actually, the communism time, it was very difficult to practice any religion. And they literally used to, I could say, smuggle these wonderful books in order to share the wonderful stories and translate. And later on, they started translating Sanatana Sarthi and other things. So they were also in Prashanthi Nilayam. God only knows how they heard my name. Russia is some place actually which I always wanted to go and see because I got so many stories. So these two wonderful ladies with Galia's husband, Swami called them for the interview. And in the interview room, God only knows what they asked. But thanks to them, whatever they asked, Swami called me as well. So they asked Swami, they wanted me to go and do a medical camp in Siberia. And I was really go. Swami said, yes, he will go. Swami just simply said he will go. And just before we came out, I said, Swami, Siberia? Siberia for our imagination is for those days and time, we thought it was a concentration camp where anybody who does not listen to the government, they will just send to the Siberia, whether they are scientists, doctors, or the writers, or journalists. That's the end of the story. Nobody knows in the world what happened to them. So Swami said, don't worry, I'll be there. With that insurance, I came to England and I applied for the visa to the Russian High Commission. And those days was not online visa. You have to literally go to the High Commission. And it was very easy those days because nobody was traveling. When I went there, it was almost such a fantastic thing. They were looking at me, this colored gentleman wanted to go to Russia. So they took me. When they saw my request that I wanted to go to Siberia, they said, hold on. And I said, there's something is wrong. I'm waiting. And then this lady came from the counter and she said, my boss will like to see you. So I went there. I was taken into this. I was so happy that Swami's grace. I've been treated like a VIP rather than given my visa on the counter. I'm being called into the office. And this man is looking at me. He said, what have you done wrong that you want to go to Siberia? I said, I have not done anything wrong. My beloved Lord has asked me to go and share my love with them. That's why I wanted to go. So he was curious. He asked, who is your Lord? I just mentioned a few things about it. He said, whatever you do, don't mention about God there. I will grant you. And one thing I'll like you, when you come back, tell me how the Siberia is. I've never been to Siberia. I have not done anything wrong. So I was a little bit more scared that Russian man telling me all about, the sort of fear people have unless you really see it. I tell you, the love the Russian people have for everyone, it is tremendous. Their love is like honey. When you drown into that, you can't come out. That is what that is. It's not like a water, it's like honey. I've been going there for 20, God only how many years I've been doing the medical camp in the Russian-speaking countries. So the story is very funny. When we came there, anybody who has got intention of doing anything free in a country like Russia, they get very suspicious. There must be some intention. They are cult or they want to get some information, KGB and all sorts of things. So, like, there was one time when I was a student in India in the 60s, we thought every other person who is talking to us is, the person is a American spy sort of thing. And we thought everybody, the KGBs in Russia is so strong that you have. So I came to this beautiful place called Ekaterinburg, and with our wonderful friend Valerie and the interpreter, we were marched into the nice office where these people wanted to find out what is our program, why we want to do, and all those things. And we were sitting and talking to these people. I did not realize that anybody who approached, they already get all the information. I can see he has got almost full file on me, because I could see the Swami's picture on one side and Mother Teresa's pictures on the other side. And this man asked me, we are not that poor that other people have to come from other countries to help. Why do you want to come and help? And at that time, I prayed to the Swamis to give the words. And thanks to the interpreter, I may have said something wrong, but my interpreter must have corrected me already, because I could see after I finished my speaking, there was a little smile on their, the military faces of the officers who are interrogating us. So what I said actually, that I'm not come here to help. I know your country. You are the people. You have the first man, Yuri Gagarin, to this space. And you have got a great man, Tolstoy, who has written War and Peace, got Nobel Prize, and Max Gorky. Some of them, because I read a lot, so I knew about these things. And I said, my one of the role model is the ophthalmologist from whom I have learned a great deal, is great Fyodorov. Was a great, very good friend of my colleague, Professor Arnott. He visited London so many times. After listening this big name and the praise of Russia, they were very happy that I'm not thinking that I'm coming to help them. So I said, what is your mode of operandi, how you want to work? He said, sir, we know you have got wonderful services, but sometimes it happens that people do not want to leave the metropolis and come and help. My master has got one principle. He wanted to provide quality service with best of technology to the poorest people in the world. And I just wanted to offer helping hand to your existing medical services. That is what our policy. And those words really touched him. And they say, how you want to do it? I said, we don't want to do it. We want to do it with you, because my master has also told me very categorically that do not interfere in the system of the country. You work with them. Do not try to introduce something which cannot be sustained. So you make sure that you are there to assist them in that program to take it further to the people where it is not there. And then it becomes like a teamwork. And so we were given a place called Kirovograd. Actually, there is a colony. It is not like a concentration camp. And they wanted us to go and work in a prison where a lot of children and other people were there, and they were all living together. It was a great sort of experience we had. I wanted to go and see beforehand before I can take the team there. So we have to go from the Ekaterinburg to go to Kirovograd. We have to just cross a little mountain, and it is called Ural regions, Ural mountain, Ural ranges, Eurasia. And when you come to London, you go to Greenwich. There is a place where Greenwich Mean Time, when you stand there, your one leg is in the east and one leg on the west, where the Greenwich Mean Time scale goes on to. Similarly, there is a little monument there, and there is a little place when you put your one hand, you are on the Asian part of Russia, and the other legs on the European part of Russia. So those days were no Mercedes car or no Range Rovers and all those things. We had a beautiful Lada car actually, which was taking, and it was quite a journey, because the steering wheel and the mileometer, that's all. And all this time I was thinking, if it breaks down, what will happen? And it did happen. When you think negative, that happens. As we just reached up to the top, it was very, very cold, and somebody suggested that we should take a picture. Car was still running, and when we went up, the moment the camera clicked, the car stopped. Swami said, when you go there, don't enjoy here and there, that you're going for the sightseeing. Finish the work and then you can enjoy. Now the problem is that photograph was taken, and now I'm stuck because of this car. So I asked the driver, and he said, it will take some time. We do not know how long. And it was getting very, very cold. My interpreter, his name was Alex, a young man. He simply said that he knows nearby place, and we should go there. And uh, at that time, I just wanted to go somewhere because I did not have a proper clothing. Though I was working in the army in my early days, and I worked in Ladakh, which is 14,000 feet up in the Himalayas, and temperature used to go down -20, and it still is the highest mobile military hospital in the world. So I'm quite used to it. I realized why Swami has trained me those days to make sure that I know some sort of difficulties in extreme cold weather and extreme hot weather as well. So we walked because I just wanted to be somewhere in the warm. And as we walked to this place, we went in, and I heard the beautiful chanting was going on there. And as we entered there was a man in a nice robe sitting there, facing, and there was a shivlinga, small shivlinga, and he was chanting Brahma Murari Surachit Nirgam Nirmal Bhashit Shobhitlinga. Such a wonderful pronunciation in Siberia and Ural Mountain. I could not believe my ear. And then, logic was, I thought probably one of the Indian priests has come here and he might be teaching people, but realizing this thing that it is not allowed to chant, but he was chanting so beautifully. And it was Monday, I still remember very now in England, it is almost getting to Monday, 2 o'clock in the morning. So that was Monday, and such a beautiful chant from Murari Surachit Lingam Nirmal Bhashit Shobhit Lingam. Not a flaw in the pronunciation and the singing. And I was thinking, what a wonderful thing that every Monday back home I do also Abhishekam, and in the evening we sing. Swami has given me the chance to listen to this beautiful chant. After finishing the prayer, he turned towards us and said, "Oh, you have all come." So I said, as if he was expecting us. So I said, and he was not an Indian man. He was a tall, 6'2", absolutely red color and blonde hair Russian with blue eyes. The typical Russian in the Siberian, very strong man. And he was looking so, glowing face. And so my first thing, how did you know that we are coming? He said, my master said. So I didn't ask who his master was. I said, sir, you tell me, where did you learn this beautiful chanting? He said, my dear Lord has taught me. And he lifted that candle which was near the Shivalinga and lifted the candle and just put by the Swami's picture. And the Swami was sitting in this picture exactly the way he was sitting in Prashanthi in India when he asked me to go to to Siberia. And when I was worried that I was coming to Siberia, he said, I'll be there. Same pose, same clothes. I've never seen that pose. Normally you have seen the Swami sitting in that pose. This was the pose like that. Literally Swami is telling, don't worry, I am there. That was exactly the pose. I have never seen that picture after and before that. That is his assurance. Why you here when I am there? In the middle of nowhere in the Ural mountain, the beautiful Lord Shiva's prayer are sung, and then Swami's Abhayasta, why here when I am here? And after that, everything was so easy. There was no problem at all. And we had a wonderful time. And there was a great, wonderful medical camp. And then we had a follow medical camp also. And our main aim was not to do much of the medical things there. We wanted to introduce Swami's the 5 wonderful principles: love, peace, righteousness, truth, and non-violence to these people, and somehow be convinced that these children who have not done a lot of things wrong, for a minor punishment, they were there to make sure that these children also get that. And Russian people are so wonderful, actually, and they implemented that wonderful program. And when we went next time, you can see the whole place was so wonderful. These children were going to the schools and having proper education. And after that, our organization has made a wonderful our organization has made a wonderful partnership. And after that, we had so many wonderful camps in this area. So this is what exactly that when you call for the God, he will be there everywhere. Only thing, we have to have that calmness into us to hear the sound that he is there. We have to have that vision. We probably have, the people who have got cataract, they cannot see properly, or those people who wear the lenses. If they do not wear the lenses, they can't see very well. In the same way, we require the silence in our eyes to find out the signs in everyone. That is the most important thing.
Doctor, we should take 5 minutes and finish up, because I know it's after it's 2:15 in the morning there for you. So
yeah, no problem. Just I would like to say the last thing, that I sincerely pray to the Swami that all those people who are working, and I heard the other day in the webinar, Naresh Reddy was telling that United States has decided to offer 95,000 masks to the people. It is such a wonderful service. It is, this PPE is life-saving for the doctors and for the other people also. And the people all over the world, they are doing a great work. Millions of the food is being given to the people. Probably you are watching this on the telephone. So the Sai force is working silently in this crisis. People may not read or see on the television, but I can tell you the amount of information which is fed to us, that the amount of work done silently by the Sai organization is tremendous. May God give courage and guide and guard these people. And may Swami unite us in his infinite love to serve all and serve all.
Sai Ram, Doctor, we're so very grateful for you to have spoken. We have a few closing prayers, but if you want to go ahead and go to sleep, there's no problem.
No, I'll join you. I don't want to leave the prayer.
Okay, we're going to have a few closing prayers and arati, and we are very, very grateful for your coming today and speaking.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for the satsang.
Wonderful, wonderful talk. So let me share this and we will go from there. Okay.
बहुत देर से चालू है, शिवा बता रही थी सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम षण्मुखनाथ
विभूतिं निरमाश्रयामि परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूतिं परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूतिं परमार्थ इष्टार्थमोक्षप्रदानं बाबा विभूतिं निरमाश्रयामि
Okay, where's the audio?
Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya
Rupati Chidananda Haritu Jagadisha Hare Sathya Sai Mahadeva Yandapam Yandapam Kiridari Om Jai Jagadisha Hare
सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई महाराज की जय।